And hello everyone and welcome back to the Mario Kart Wii World Cup 2026. I'm Scoped and I'm once again for today casting another match, this time US North versus Benelux, and I'm here casting with Dbergy. How are you doing, Dbergy?
I'm doing great. Happy to be here casting another match, and hopefully we're in for an exciting one.
Yeah, definitely an interesting match for sure. Top seed versus play-in team for this group. So definitely a big chip on Benelux's shoulder, but still an important match for US North. Winning this match would secure them the first seed of their group. Definitely a very strong position for them getting into the playoffs. And seeing how dominant they've been, it would be expected that they end up as this first seed.
Yeah, I would say based on where these teams were kind of seated coming in, it's not super surprising how each team is doing. They're coming into this match in very different positions here, with US North having the ability to lock up the one seed in their division, and Benelux is kind of hanging on for dear life, trying to see if they can squeeze into the playoff.
Yeah, they need an upset at this point to even have a chance to make it into the playoffs. But speaking of, let's not dilly-dally too much longer here, and let's start with our challengers for today with that Benelux team that has played pretty much the exact same lineup for the entire playoff so far, with actually, never mind, Thomas replacing Olifrey this time with Shura, Indy, Ruben, and Joris being their bagger. So yeah, big change here with Olifrey being replaced by Thomas. Shura, their Daisy player from Team France last season, Indy Ruben having played every match so far for the Team Benelux. So yeah, definitely going to be an interesting change, especially considering that Olifrey is definitely one of their strongest runners going into this World Cup. What do you think about it, DeBerge?
Yeah, I think not having Olafray is a pretty significant loss for them. I mean, I think Thomas can definitely do some work in his place, but I feel like Olafray really uh, kind of rounds the team out and keeps them together pretty well. But this team's been really scrappy so far. They've been very competitive in their matches, even though they haven't had much success in them overall. So I think they have pretty good team chemistry, and we'll see if they can kind of hang with USN today.
Indeed, yeah, they've been pretty scrappy, and as you mentioned, they only lost against the second seed of Asia by 18 points. So yeah, definitely very strong, pretty strong team even for a play-in team. And they're going to be facing US North today. We're going to speed it up a little bit as the room is starting in the rep chat, so not going to take too long. Brody, Frozen, Revan, Fresh, and Snoopy is our US North lineup for today. Brody, old Division One champion with both MC and RZ last season. Frozen, perennial Division One player, very high level player with JX. Revan, very experienced player in numerous old lineups such as SC, and Fresh, of course, also being an RZ member and actually Division One MVP from the previous season, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, this team has just like a wealth of talent. They have so many different lineups that they could run. It seems like they're kind of rotating some people in, either just to get some playing time or based on availability. I mean, you can see what their subs have to offer too. So this is really a team that we expect to dominate.
Absolutely, but yeah, that's very much true. There's just a lot of talent on US North's team, as you can see even on their bench. Players like Mura, Ornan, TK, like players with a lot of experience in Division One. So you can absolutely just rotate a lot of players out and still have an extremely competitive lineup, if not just completely guaranteed seed one in this group overall. So yeah, very strong lineup as always for US North. Of course, I didn't mention Snoopy, but also very strong bagger on his end, facing against Joris, who has a lot more experience than he does, but Snoopy has been very much an improved bagger over the past couple of years, so would not be shocked to have a very competitive battle for that shock battle, speaking of.
Yeah, and obviously that's one thing that, we always touch on. It's like when you have a team that's an underdog, they have to find advantages wherever they can, and one of those could possibly be bagging. I mean, I think Snoopy is an amazing bagger, so I think it would be very tough to like dominate him ever. But we'll see what Yoris will be able to do if he's able to really give Benelux an edge there.
Exactly. Yeah, that's absolutely correct. If you're the dominant team, if anything, shockless races are usually just better for you. So having a dominant bagger is not as necessary as long as they can keep it even in terms of shock count, or even just keep a lot of races shockless. You should be able, in theory, to make it a win for yourself. Thankfully, we had a little bit of trouble with the POVs, but it seems like it has been fixed so far. We should have Brody POV up with Shura's POV coming in a little later in the match. Seems there are a little bit, a couple of problems with the POV, unfortunately, but we'll try and fix that as soon as we can. And the room should be already getting, or should be getting started soon. So yeah, Brody POV on the US North side, uh, and 10 in rooms should get started at any point. Uh, Grant, I usually like to ask before matches start, Debergi, how do you predict this match going? I think we have similar opinions in that regard about how this match on paper should go.
Yeah, I would say like I'm not gonna pick against US North, especially with what they've shown us so far, and who they have playing for them. But I would look to see if Benelux is able to keep it within striking distance for like the first 6 races, just to give themselves a chance down the stretch. It could end up being just a runaway for US North, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see it close for like a GP at least.
Yeah, not to mention that if Benelux can get the next 2 wins on the board and keep this differential against US North competitive, it can absolutely matter in the long run, just due to I do think we'll see in Group B multiple teams in that 2 wins, 3 losses range. So that point differential could absolutely matter here if Benelux can keep this as competitive as possible. As we mentioned, they're fighting to stay alive in this group, and that point battle is absolutely part of it.
Yeah, definitely. That's the third tiebreaker, or well, second tiebreaker, I guess, record, and then head to head, and then point differential. So definitely don't want to discount how important it is to even keep things close, even if you don't end up winning.
Very much so. We have Shura in one for the time being. Thomas actually making his way up there as well. Top 2 for Benelux so far. That bomb by Brody could absolutely matter. Frozen shrooming up instantly and trying to bump around this Daisy player. But Shura still keeping one regardless. Good play by him so far. Triple reds by Brody is absolutely going to matter though. Back bomb onto weak C, not connecting, but forcing him to slow. Oh, actually connecting, but with a little bit of lag there. And Brody going to be able to make his move onto Thomas rather quickly there. 2 reds being broken. The third one will stop him. Sure, actually, very nice nano as well. But Brody will connect onto Thomas, and now Shura has even more work to do against both Frozen and Brody. Very scary combination of players there as we go into that lap 2 on Sherbetland.
Yeah, and a lot of work can be done with a mega in this position, whether you want to schlag or just hold on to it, depending on how your bagger's doing, and especially the advantage it gives you on the ice here on this track. So it's a lot of different things that Brody can elect to do here.
Absolutely. Joris in 10, important to mention there. So that mega might be used to try and predict that Benelux shock, but very important track to get shock on if you're Benelux here. Ooh, good avoidance by Brody there. As we see Ruben actually making his way up in third place, passing Frozen. A little bit of help there on Shura's side. Very nice avoidance of that fib, even with the blooper. Good play by Brody so far, showing the Division 1 experience as he just has kept this mega for the entire race, pretty much.
Yeah, when you know what you're doing, sometimes you don't need a lot of items. You just need to be able to use them well. And look at that, he's able to get a shroom into one, it would seem, which is huge.
Shura trailing the fib. Indeed, yeah, that Truman one absolutely could matter with a late blue. There is a chance that Benelux have been holding blue for a while if Shura was in one throughout the entire race, but it doesn't seem to be the case. Bagger is still chaining for shock. Brody's just choosing to use that mega to get into first. Oh, and I believe I saw someone dodge in a bill in the back. I think I saw
Yeah, I saw
the
someone in
warning
Bill. I
there.
don't know if they were still in Bill at that point.
Hmm.
Looks like nobody challenging for first right now, so I'm gonna have to see how those spots got mixed up from that shock.
Is Shura going to live in second? It definitely seems to be the case. Very nice plays by Shura overall to secure at the very least one top spot. But that is going to be 1-3-4 for US North. And that domination that we talked about seems like it's starting right on race 1.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Joris in 10th, so we thought maybe he would pull, but it seemed like that might have been a US North shock, assuming with the spots that they ended up getting there.
Oh, and there is a penalty on Benelux's side with Snoopy shoving one of the runners into the wall, so should be -5 there. And yeah, 1-3-4-5. Wow, maybe it was Revan dodging late that we didn't see in the back. I do believe it was a late dodge by Revan, possibly a Benelux bill there, and but getting called out.
Yeah, that seems to make sense.
But yeah, either way, extremely strong start on the side of USA. That should be a very nice 20-point lead going into race 2 immediately, with Shura being the only member of Benelux that was able to stay up there. And I want to say quite a bit of work on the side of Shura, but all things considered, unfortunately, I don't believe he's connected even a single backspam on Brody. Just so much avoidance on the side of Brody. Every single fib, every single nana has just been avoided and allowed him to stay within striking distance of Shura the entire time until he pounced at the start of lap 3 with that mega.
Yeah, that's a good point. He definitely did a really good job just playing around those backs, squeezing between fibs and penguins because, if he hits a fib or something throughout any point of that race, that mega becomes way less effective. He's not able to get into one and chain a shroom there. And top spots for that race might end up looking different.
Yeah, I do think if, for example, if the fib on the blooper, if that one hit, I do think Brody might have been forced in mega, and then it's an entirely different race. But regardless, we are chaining on US's track pick of Maple Tree, where they're, I assume, fifth going into the cut with 134 just running as per usual. And it seems like Shura is getting bumped a little bit there by Frozen. Might be a top 2 for US North already. Frozen barely ahead on R's POV so far. Brody can hold on to that green, possibly double back on the branch. Um, doesn't seem to be the case. Frozen firmly securing that second place. And it seems like Fresh actually got into third as well. Sure, just got completely bumped out of those top spots even before the halfway point of lap 1 here.
Yeah, that's not the position you want to be in, having to 1v3 on Daisy at the beginning of a track like this, where getting off to an early lead is so important because of how runnable it is. So we're going to have to see what Benelux is able to do with an early blue coming in
Uh,
on Brody, going to get him on the ramp, and
oh,
he's
and
into his own green.
oh, the green drop being unfortunate. Usually you just want to let it drop so that it can potentially hit someone behind you, but they're dropping right in front of him. Definitely a pretty unlucky course of events. But as you see, Fresh, Revan, and Brody both in that 5, 6, 7 position, with Shura all the way in the back, but a lot of USA in the back so far, so definitely seems to be favoring Benelux there. Both backers still sitting at the set, so shouldn't be any shocks so far. And then a tight not going to connect onto any of the US members, and Ruben getting punished for it. Very nice read by Revan. 3-4-5 now on the side of US North with Thomas. Oh, I do really, actually, I do believe, I think I saw Frozen in one. Yeah, Frozen is in one with Fresh in third. So Benelux once again only having second as their position in top slot so far. So yeah, another race where US North definitely seems to have a very big lead so far. Oh,
Yeah, and
Fresh,
this Golden's going
unfortunate
to
fib.
allow Brody to challenge for second here as well with Thomas. So, ooh.
Dodging. That should be a Benelux shock, just trying to get Thomas. It did dodge Shure in the back as well. So I assume, yeah, just try and get Brody. Oh, and the
Oh my
outplay
gosh.
immediately.
That's an amazing fib. Wow.
Yeah, very nice
And the
misclick
ground
there.
star. Everything's coming up US North right now.
Yeah, we do see Shura making his way up into the mid pack there in fourth on the mini map with Thomas in third. So still maybe a chance to get a top 2 spot if there is either like a blue or a bomb that's hit at an unfortunate time. But yeah, Brody just getting the dodge and immediately. Oh, and Shura's getting netted off of the ramp. Trick snipe by Brody,
Oh
showing
no.
off at this point. Just so much individual skill from USA's A North's lineup at this point, and that's another huge race. Top 2, 4, 5, or 6, I believe, from what I saw. Yeah, Brody completely outplaying both of Benelux's runners there. Very massive.
Yeah, as good as it was for Benelux to get that early blue onto Brody to try to break up what US North had, and getting fortunate also that he hits his own green. But after the cannon lap too, they were able to hit out Indy and then red out Ruben, and all of a sudden they were back in a dominant position.
Yeah, top 2, 4, 5. Once again, just another huge race on the side of US North. Benelux has just not been able to really answer there. Aside from Sherbetland, obviously, sure, keeping first, we have not seen that much Benelux up there. There was only ever one or two players at most, and even then, it's rare in these upper spots. Otherwise, US North is just consistently able to hit him out, consistently able to make those outplays And so far, they're running away with this match for the time being.
Yeah, Benelux is really gonna need some sort of reset track pick here to give themselves a better shot at getting back up into those spots and then potentially clawing a bit back from this lead.
Very much so. At this point, you would need that Peach Gardens pick. Yeah, there it is. That Peach Gardens pick or something along those lines to get it immediately to try and, sorry, to try and reverse the momentum as soon as possible. Toast Factory very scary in top 2, 4, 5 here, and unfortunately, it's going to be another chain uh, third pick in the row for US North at this point with Toast Factory.
Yeah, I
The
mean, if you're
only
Benelux, like, what do you have to do in a position like this to try to break into top spots on a track like this?
get an item in a low spot, spam a golden up. That's one of the few ways to get back up there. Revan immediately getting that draft up, and triple reds is actually another way that you can break into those soft spots there. Thomas getting uh not the golden pull per se, but definitely a good pull. Shura unfortunately getting hit out there, so still only one member of Benelux in Thomas up there, and there's the golden I was talking about. Indy getting redded. Ruben gonna have to burn that star to get back up there. Brody, a little bit of driving fail there. But yeah, Ruben trying to join his teammates into the top spots there to try and make it at the very least a bit more competitive. But Thomas got hit out, and unfortunately, that top two from US North is just running away at this point.
Yeah, not sure if potentially Shura could have Bill being that far back in eighth. I did see the baggers go forward at the beginning, but I mean, eventually, even if you do have it, if you get too far behind, like you're gonna just have to burn it.
Absolutely. Brody gonna trying to swerve a little bit to hit out the members of Benelux, trying to not only allow Fresh to catch back up, even though with that star, I do believe he is in fourth. That should be top four on the side of US North, and top two being pretty much gone already. Both backers still sitting at the set, and at this point, you're praying for a Benelux shock that you'll have to use early lap 3 in order to get up there.
Yeah, I was gonna say this will be basically impossible for them without a shock. I mean, even with one, top two is so far gone, they might have no chance at catching them. They really need to try to get into third and fourth here at the very least to minimize the damage.
Yeah, this is already a salvage race, pretty much. Delay back on the side of Brody, not connecting with Fresh, having, I believe, triple reds around him, not making the situation any better, and chaining into a mega. Okay, no need. No need to be this harsh on the schlagging items. Shura not going to be able to pass them for the time being, and it should be pretty much a guaranteed, at the very least, a guaranteed top 3. Oh no! A, lo-
Ooh,
a back from a teammate there, not
and a combo red. Okay, so
unfortunate timing from a teammate there, forcing Brody all the way back into 7th place. Definitely not what you want on a potential top 4, but that should still be top 3-7, even with that little communication oopsie there from either Revan or was it Revan? No, it was either from Fresh or Frozen. Sorry.
yeah, so I mean, they lose a few points off of that. Probably nothing that I would imagine they'll lose sleep over, with already having a 40-point lead going into that race. But yeah, I would say a little unlucky for Benelux, just, not getting any of their track picks here, and getting off on the wrong foot so quickly here. It's like a team that has the prestige that this U.S. North team has. Like they're not gonna give up starting in such good positions on TF like that easily. And when you don't see a shot come out, it's not super surprising that Benelux wasn't able to break any of that up.
Yeah, that's just the sort of track where if you are just individually and if you're individually stronger as like if your individual members are stronger mechanically, it's very much a tough spot for Benelux to even touch those top 2 spots as we saw. Just Revan immediately getting up there with that draft and Frozen following right after Brody and Fresh pretty much uh, quote unquote forced to schlag, but honestly, given the break that top 2 had, was pretty expected. I assume what either Frozen or Revan tried to do in that top 2 spot is possibly just time a back green so that it would hit Shura and guarantee a top 4. Unfortunately, it didn't quite hit the target that you wanted, but regardless, still a very good race on the side of US North as we chain into yet another running track pick in Moonview Highway. At this point, if Benelux get a win here, they're not going to have any running tracks left to pick.
Yeah, that's a good point. Definitely something they're probably not super worried about right now. They're gonna just try to, um, you know,
Immediate top 4
take a
with
few
Brody and a
points
star.
back.
Oh, and
Yeah.
he hits Indy as well. That's gonna be really rough. A Moonju High when you're already in top four like that, that's is gonna be really dependent on a potential shock here. But one of the baggers at the very least hitting a car they're unsure as to who. They're in, okay, no, it was simply that they were so far. They were so tight in the bagging battle that I thought there was a bagger running, which definitely not the strategy that you want on Moonview at this point. Snoopy and 10 though.
Oh my god, okay,
Ooh,
we're
and the
driving into that
blue.
yellow car, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like being in top two even, like there's so many potential areas you can back on this track, especially with all the other hazards there are, with all the trucks and cars and bombs and such. Like, it's a really, really strong position for USA to be in here.
Yeah, if you're Brody, you can just hold that star. I do believe that Snoopy, yeah, Snoopy is it's still in 10th, so most likely going to be able to use that star late to get back up there. You don't need to do anything too rash. Indy and Ruben both getting hit out as well. Brody now in 6th place, holding that star away from the Benelux lineup, and I do believe another car being hit in the back, so that bottom two from Benelux should stay there for a while. Shura being forced to burn his star, trying to get back up there in that during that lap 3 as I assume Joyce. Oh, very nice hit by Indy there. Um, will we see a shock now that Brody is forced into that star? I do not quite
Yeah,
believe so.
I mean, if yours had it, like it would have been used much earlier. So it's either Snoopy holding or it's just
Oh,
shockless.
a bit unfortunate for Brody on our POV here. Not that it should matter for US North's race overall. That should allow Ruben to at the very least get some points on the board. And there's the late shock
Late shock.
from US. I assume US North just not wanting to risk anything happening to their top three, which definitely understandable seeing how well that race started for them. I do see that Shura ended up in that top half of the pack there, so gonna have to see if he maybe stole a top 3 spot away from US North. Should still be a very much a good race for them though.
Yeah, I think it was at least 6, 7 out of Benelux, so I don't think it was going to be a very good race for them
Yeah,
regardless. Obviously,
I do.
Brody was kind of in the back for a while, so we didn't see a ton of those top positions.
Yeah, 567 I believe for Benelux, though I might be incorrect in that regard. We should see soon. But yeah, still very much a good race for US North, regardless of it all, with just that top 3 from US North just going immediately on Moonview Highway, and even with Brody um, having a little bit of trouble there with the yellow car cycle. Seems like even in Division 1 you can have those little mishaps. But yeah, even with that, just really good race from US North. Is there a disconnect?
Yeah, there
They
might
might
be
be.
this race.
Yeah,
This race should have ended a while ago.
yeah, the room is dying. We have confirmation. Should check the rep chat. I do have it open. But yeah, it is to be just a dying room for the time being. Yeah, the spots are called. Sure, actually. Okay, no, it is fresh disconnecting. Yeah, fresh disconnected. Okay, but sure, I got into at the very least a top 3 spot as we see there. But fresh DCing. Um, I assume DCing possibly in second, and yeah, allowing Benelux to get a much better race than what was predicted here. Without that disconnect here.
Yeah, so if he's placed back to second or whatever he was in, then it's like a 3, 5, 6, 7 for Benelux.
Yeah,
Assuming that's what happens.
it was second. We have confirmation.
Yeah, so
So yeah,
still a solid race for US North getting top 2 there.
yeah, top 248, and they are claiming spots. It looks like so, most likely expecting a WGM pick at the start of next GP. Yeah, but still very much not the start that you want to see if you want to see Benelux try and make that comeback here. It's almost 70-point differential in a single GP. We talked about hoping that keep it competitive, but so far US North just completely dominating at every turn this match.
Yeah, I may have been saying that more out of hope than actual expectation. Not surprised at all that US North is doing this. I mean, obviously I'd seen some good things from Benelux, but they hadn't gone up against quite an opponent like this yet. So
Yeah, there is. To talk about the group dynamic in general, we talked about a lot about Asia being essentially India from the previous World Cup, which had a lot of hype surrounding it going into the World Cup. But I do think US North is just on another level overall. As can be seen just by the results that they've had, Asia, even with them being 2-1 currently, they have a negative differential just because they won by the skin of their teeth pretty much every time, and their loss was to a US North that just looks so dominant going into the second half of this group stage here. They definitely look like the team to beat, and at this point, uh, England has only played one match, so we will have to see if England is as dominant on their side of the group. But so far, US North definitely looks like the team to beat going into the playoffs, because I do believe we can already talk about just the playoffs for this team.
Yeah, so in terms of England, they actually did play their second match a couple of
Oh
days
my,
ago against France,
oh my
and
mistake.
France did end up coming out on top. So we have seen some cracks in the armor from England, the defending champions, and obviously France is kind of on the midst of a really crazy run right now, being 4-0, which I think a lot of people didn't see coming. So we'll see in the group stage, or excuse me, in the playoffs when you're going to get some cross group matchups, how other
Damn,
teams are able to compete.
that's my country right there. I can't believe I missed that. Oops, I blame finals week for everything. But in all seriousness, yeah, my mistake. Did not realize that England has played another match. But yeah, definitely not showing the same level of dominance then as um US North has, even with their win by almost by more than 80 against Canada. Definitely not showing the same level of dominance, which is going to be interesting to see if it's simply the starting jitters. There is a point to be made about the fact that France do come into this World Cup with an entire season of GSC building up their synergy, because they have played together in Division 2 and ended up third of that division as a team. So the fact that you're coming into this Jesse, the fact that you're coming into this World Cup with that amount of synergy built up when the rest of the teams are pretty much all like different mixes of teams is very, very strong to have, especially in the group stage while everyone is still trying to find their footing more so.
Yeah, definitely.
That, and you can also possibly blame a little bit of rust on some England main lineup players, but that is something that also could get fixed later in the tournament. So France and in England possibly being a bit deceptive there about their level going into the playoffs there. Not that I want France's level to be deceptive. If I could get France to win, I would very much appreciate that, but that is entirely country bias. But yeah, Whereas Goldmine is going to be the pick for US North. But finally, Benelux get their first track pick in Peach Gardens. Very much a breath of fresh air for them.
Yeah, this has been their first real good opportunity to kind of settle things down and get back into a better position here. So they're gonna really have to make the most of this because, can't guarantee any more track picks, obviously.
Yeah, pretty much gonna have to be a very important one for Benelux here. Brody in starting in that eighth place, just being able to get that gold and immediately trying to get up there. Shura in second place currently, trying to. Well, actually, do we see who else is up there? That is double Benelux. That is double players for Benelux in that
Ooh,
top
good
two. Did
back.
not realize. Yeah, good attempt there on that Nana. But yeah, mega for Brody and unfortunately. Oh, very nice back green. Yeah, I
And the
cannot. I
bouncing green hitting Benelux out. So we'll see if Brody elects to chain this or just hold on to it or go through cut.
Yeah, gonna
I
have
mean,
to
there
see.
there's this.
Holding the mega, it seems, and even holding as he gets redded, possibly just an indicator that Snoopy should be in 10th, and possibly just trying to delay that for a late dodge into bottom spot Shane on lap 3. You're gonna have to see. Unfortunately, going right side of the maze, we cannot quite see which bagger is in
We'll see
10th.
who this bagger is. Yeah, yeah. So Snoopy is in 10. So either he has it or the fact he's still going backwards, maybe still looking to get it, and then Brody will look to
He has
dodge coming up here.
he did go around cut and is not getting respawn, so I would assume that he has shock and is simply just moving away. You would assume that Snoopy has shock, and in which case it should get used right now or very close at the very least. Revan going around, possibly having another dodge. Golden on Brody, and yeah, there it is. Revan not dodging, possibly just getting a power, something along those lines then in the spot that he had it in. Brody going to use that golden to get into second place right behind Fresh, who is the second Dodger. And US North, even on Benelux's track pick, is looking to get another huge race so far. Snoopy running alongside them, so not quite top three. Back a red onto shore, which does connect. Very nice
Wow.
timing by
Yeah.
Brody. Oh, and another team kill onto
Like,
Brody, which
that
doesn't seem
yeah.
to
Doesn't
matter.
affect the positions, but yeah, I mean, that's just what Shock does on Peach Gardens. Obviously, getting that makes it so that you have a chance. Obviously, if you pull Shock, it's not really runnable, so you won't just lose immediately. But obviously, if the other team pulls Shock, then you're going to be in a really rough position. So
Yeah, I would assume Fresh dodged in a mega or something along those lines in mid spot there, getting the second mega with Brody. With Brody not pulling another dodge, you kind of just have to use that with the mega ending so that Brody can still have the golden to get up there. And yeah, that back onto Shura actually sent him all the way down to sixth place, allowing Revan to grab some points. So very nice by Brody there. Top two, 5-7, and yet another winning race as we approach the halfway point of the war. This just looks this just looks extremely rough for Benelux. If you don't get a winning race very soon, I don't want to call the match early. Obviously, this is still Mario Kart, but seeing the momentum and everything that's been going on, now that you're up 78 points as you approach the halfway point of the war, in such a dominant fashion, this looks very rough for Benelux at this point.
yeah, you don't see a lot of 70 plus point comebacks against this team, obviously. So, um, obviously, you have to try to just take it one race at a time. If you're Benelux, I mean, I feel like we haven't seen more than like one of their players in a top spot at a time since like maybe race one.
Well,
So they really
Peach
need to
Gardens,
just
they did have two players. They did have top two at the end of lap one on Peach Gardens. The unfortunate thing it is Peach
that's
Gardens,
Peach
so
Gardens. Yeah,
that doesn't matter
yeah,
as much.
right, exactly.
BC3 is going to be the pick though. If you want to have a chaotic race to try and reset the match, this is probably the track that you want to do it on. If you're already in the mid spots, double back by USA, they're getting a member of Benelux immediately out. That TC on US North possibly getting past, and Ruben are getting hit out as well. Just so many backed items by Brody connecting very easily onto Benelux here. Fresh blocking the cut, Brody going for the ultra. And failing it, unfortunately. Okay, I was about to say pretty typical opening in for a high level team on BC3, but unfortunately, Brody not making that ultra. Thankfully, making it the second time, so we don't have to stay in the back for too long. Shura, unfortunately, forced around the cut, so possibly going to be gone in eighth for, or at the very least in that bottom two for a while now.
It's
Not exactly
yeah,
sure
deep
which is the
deep
other
bottom
member of
two
bottom
for
two.
Benelux. Yeah, I think it's Indy.
It could be, yeah, and in which case oh no, we saw Joris. Not we don't know for sure, but seeing as there's like no trying to head out the other, you would assume it's bottom two for Benelux. We do see Thomas up there, and I do think I saw Ruben too. So at the very least, there are still two members up there. Ruben going around the cut. I don't believe that is blocked. Yeah, Revan's going to be able to
No,
take that fairly easily. Brody with maybe a little bit more trouble, but still double cut takers on the side of USA there with Thomas going to try and hold that first and immediately get hit out by
ooh,
Revan. But Brody on the receiving end of yet another team kill. Thomas gets hit out by that Nana. Should allow Brody to get back up there pretty easily, trying to bump out Thomas and does not manage to do it, fortunately. Thomas and Ruben in 4-5, trying to make their way up there, and Thomas getting backed by Frozen. Once again, just so many backs connecting. The wall of Nan is there for Ruben, extremely wide, and both backers still chaining for the shock, I believe.
yeah, Benelux needs it really bad right now because US can elect to just block the cut and go around here, and it's gonna force Benelux to unblock. And we see a shock. Looks like probably US North preventing cut takers, I would imagine.
Yeah, that does seem to be the case there. Ruben went over the gap, and Shock was immediately called to cancel it out. And Fresh takes the Ultra. That is a top four on the side of US North. If we don't see a massive T-Power or something along those lines, should be pretty guaranteed with the break that they have. Or yet another team kill on Brody, maybe. Who knows? They want to keep the tradition going. But yeah, that is going to be top four on US North, which only cements this lead and now goes over the 100-point threshold as we go only onto the halfway point of the war.
Yeah, US North is just putting on a clinic, basically, really just demonstrating how to play this game at peak level.
Gonna have to see. There might have been a penalty there. We're gonna keep you guys informed. Yeah, Frozen actually is the one that has the -20 possibly. So that's not gonna help matters at all. Uh, -20 is still second. Is crazy, but this is BC3 after all. But yeah, this is very much just a complete slaughter there on the side of US North. Unfortunately, not the Benelux may be scrappy, but the individual difference of these teams is simply too high at this point.
Yeah, we'll have to see if this is an actual -20 or if Frozen just got thwomped again, but um, yeah, either way, it's not really gonna make a huge difference, being up over 100 at this point halfway through the war. It's like, you start getting into the territory where you start doing the math and it doesn't really, look super possible.
All right, so we have been informed that we do have another POV at the very least for the rest of this match. Assure's POV still seems to be bugging out for us, but we do have the Revan POV as a second POV for this match. DS Desert Hills, interesting call there, but it is going to be DS Summit, another pick on the side of US North. But yeah, at the very least, if Brody is stuck in the front or in the back, we'll be able to get a bit more of a bird's eye view on the mid pack there with Revan, another player with a huge amount of experience on the side of US North, as DK Summit is picked there. Home of a lot of chaotic races, but especially home of a lot of individual outplays, as we've seen in many high division matches.
Yeah, we'll see if there's any chaos on the cut, people blocking or making different sorts of plays around double here.
We see being forced into the star already with that back red from the side of Brody and triple reds immediately after. My goodness, we see is in a lot of trouble right now, and Thomas a bit of lag there, not bumped off. I thought he was for a moment, but I do think someone failed the cut, possibly a USA member, as Thomas is now in first place behind, in front rather, of Revan, Frozen, and Brody. It's a very strong trio there to be facing. That TC, thankfully for Fresh, doesn't doesn't use before the cannon. And Fib actually connecting onto Frozen. Great play by Thomas there,
Yeah.
trying to get a bit more of a lead. Hopefully that red doesn't connect for him. But yeah, so far, very strong opening from USA, despite Thomas's efforts.
Yeah, he's doing all he can, but it's really been just him up here, so it's a lot to ask of one person.
Where is Thomas? Oh, that was an interesting bit of lag there. The Fib not connecting. Thomas
Yeah,
high up in the sky on our POV, but still very much in first place. Will we see maybe a shock onto Thomas in the cannon there? Or this might be
could be
US shot.
USA. Yep.
Oh boy. Okay,
Yeah,
this is going to be
Snoopy is
extremely
just
rough.
putting in so much work this match. Like, obviously they haven't been in a lot of really desperate positions where they need shock, unlike Benelux, but he's just had it whenever they want to as kind of like a extra accessory almost.
Yeah, it's just allowed them to get some even more dominant races. Revan choosing to go around the double, not wanting to risk it. Blue is going to connect onto Brody, but with him taking the double and just the overall lead he's had throughout this entire race should not matter at all. Yeah, that's still going to be top two at the very least. Ruben actually makes his way up into third place and dodging that last back. Does get a spot into top three, but that is still top two, four, and either six or seven for Frozen. So I'm starting to sound like a broken record, but yet another strong winning race on the side of US North.
Yeah, it's a little unfortunate for, the competitive side of this to not see a lot of swings either way, or Benelux even really being able to get a winning race. But if you do just appreciate, really high level gameplay, then you can definitely appreciate what US North is putting on right now.
Yeah,
It's gonna be
absolutely.
top
US
two,
US
four, six.
yeah, top 246 as we mentioned. But yeah, I absolutely agree. Even with Benelux, um, I don't believe it's too much of a stretch to call them struggling at this point. Even with Benelux struggling to get into those top spots, you can absolutely appreciate just how strong mechanically every single member of US North is, whether it comes to raw driving or just getting so many hits on the board. The one of the reasons why Benelux are not able to get into the onto the top spots easily is just because US North has had so much good moments of avoidance, two backs, and having great backs themselves. They don't really even need to go for snipes or anything like that. You can just uh, be you can just stay close to first and then wait for either one of Snoopy's shock, a blue, a pow, or anything along those lines, and strike. Then you don't even need to really make any huge individual plays of your own. If you're US North, you can just trust that in due time you'll make your way up there. And so far, it's proven true at the very least every single race so far.
Yeah, and we see Wario's Goldmine coming out for US North top 246. And also the 20 against Benelux was confirmed, so now it's looking like a 140 point differential with 5 races to go.
Ruben trying to draft up immediately there with Fresh in that Mega, not connecting onto anyone, it seems. Top 2, 4 as Indy makes his way up there as well. Shura actually also shrooming up there. A little bit of bumping there onto the ramp. It does not seem to matter much. Great back onto Indy as well. Raven getting that hit off. Shura now the only member of Benelux now in that top 4. Revan getting that golden in 6th.
That's a
Definitely
great
not,
pull.
yeah, definitely not needed, but very much appreciated there as USA now in that top 3 position. And Snoopy once again in 10th. You're absolutely correct calling it out. Very nice fib on the
And the
uphill as
fib,
well.
yeah, almost hit Revan and then ends up Benelux hitting that. So just another really crucial blow to Benelux.
Yeah, as we mentioned, there's oh, unfortunate fib did not get called out there. Is Revan off the track? He
And
is.
he is off.
So yeah, gonna be stuck in the back for quite a bit alongside Shura there in 8th place. But yeah, there's just a lot. Oh, that's going to be a rather awkward spot to get blue. Does he? I thought he'd
Interesting
try and go.
play.
I
Really
thought he'd try and
interesting.
go. I thought he'd try and go below the bridge and try and get back up there. Oh, unfortunate Nana.
I thought he was gonna stop on the boost panel, but then he just kind of, I don't even know what that is, but
I mean, it would have been a rather awkward position because Frozen is right behind you. So if you stop on
true.
that boost panel, Frozen just gets completely rolled. Uh, Brody forced into that mega there by good back by Shura. Unfortunately, we see Benelux here. Depends on what shock is on when or what shock is used for. As we see, both backers are going forward. There's the shock. Will we see it? Well, actually, there's a mega immediately for Brody. Could maybe try and catch up to some of these players. And yeah, but, US North in 1-3. Great
Ooh,
mega
good
there onto Thomas.
schlagging. Yeah.
But I think that's still 2, 4, 5, 6. That could still be a winning race at the very least for Benelux.
Yeah, and I think not that it's worth anything, but I think if Benelux could maybe win a few of these races just kind of for their mentals going forward, I think mathematically it's not really in the cards for this match, being down as much as they are with now like a GP to go. But
Yeah.
it never hurts to still stay in the fight and get some winning races.
Yeah, as we mentioned, point differential might still matter for this Benelux team. Given the fact that we are expecting a lot of these teams to be in 2-3, simply just losing to the top 2 spots of US North and Asia and then taking one game off of each other. And in that case, point differential can matter. So it's still very much important to try and stay in the fight as much as possible. Sorry. Um, but yeah, still definitely important to mention. Uh, I will confirm that mathematically, unless any pens are called, this is mathematically impossible for US North to lose this match at this point. So they will be guaranteed first seed going into the playoffs. There already guaranteed first place. Definitely appreciated there. Um, having to going against the 4th seed of Group A, which considering how dominant they've been, you definitely would expect it to be a swift 2-0 for them into semis.
Yeah, and speaking of pens, Fresh said that he has another pen, so the depths that Benelux is down is just increasing here.
We talked about their first winning race for them, and right after, we might see another pen for them. Definitely unfortunate to see. But yeah, DDR is going to be the pick for Benelux at this point. For USA at this point, pretty expected. And top and bottom spots, Frozen in first place. Brody gonna try and make his way up there, second place, fighting Indy for it. Ruben shrooming up, but might get hit out. I was about to say, but never mind. Very nice wheelie bump there on the side of Ruben, forcing that at red off, and Shura actually connecting. But that bomb into Indy will allow that TC to be passed, and that is. Oh, does it pass? Oh, never mind. It passes again.
Wow,
It
that
passes on
TC
the roller
lasted
coaster.
forever.
passes on the wall glitch. Yeah, 3 passes will do that to a TT for sure, and that allows Revan to actually keep a golden, which should allow him to get into first place guaranteed there onto that golden ultra. So Benelux's frontal presence definitely not going to be lasting long. Actually, Thomas does end up taking the cut as well, so could be a way to get back up there, especially if a blue is thrown at Revan. So for the time being, Revan should stay into first place. On the other POV, we do see that Brody is in seventh with a golden, so we're going to have to follow what happens on the ultra at this point. But for the time being, uh, Revan still fighting off Thomas as much as possible. Not sure if that Nana was meant to be thrown up, but regardless, still very strong showing from Revan so far. A little bit of fumbling onto those pillars, but shouldn't matter too much. Let's switch over POVs really quickly to Brody taking that golden ultra, with Shura taking the other golden ultra. Actually, both our golden ultras right in front of us as Thomas and Shura now in 3-4, and that POW could be massive there on the wall glitch. Thomas actually eating a TC for it. Shura getting TP'd onto the wall glitch, and shock is called. I do think it is a USA shock.
I think it was US. I saw Joris falling off earlier, and Snoopy looked to be in 10th, so looks to be US shock.
Blue onto Revan. Not exactly sure if that's going to do much at all. Yeah, he's simply going to wait onto that boost panel. But yeah, definitely US shock there. Simply calling Shura on there. Oh, not pulling out the green early. Unfortunately, Brody is going to lose a lot of time here. Shura is going to be in 8th. But that should be a top 3-7 still for US North, continuing to widen that gap.
Yeah, that red was definitely avoidable in that wheelie bump, but obviously not gonna really matter very much unless they're fighting over indivs at this point.
Possibly at this point, you would not be surprised to see it, considering the amount of team killing that we have seen on Brody's screen so far. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, getting in that top 10 on the indivs leaderboard is really prestigious, you know, so.
And yeah, indeed, top 3 there with Frozen, Revan, and Fresh forming the top 3 in that order. Could have been a top 4 if not for Brody, unfortunately, not pulling out that green early enough, possibly not wanting to trail a teammate. But after a little bit of a driving fail, just ended up eating a red for it. As you mentioned, still definitely not mattering. But I am actually curious to. I will use this opportunity to quickly check something because I have not checked the indiv charts for US North. But yeah, yeah, 4 players of US North in that top 10. Not too surprised to see that with Mura, Fresh, Brody, and Frozen. Not definitely not too surprised to see it, considering just how strong all of these players are. But that might
Yeah, we
actually, for first place indivs, that I don't believe any of these players will get to first place in div, simply because of the fact that they're all so strong that they can all just run in any given situation. So you do not expect to see like one of these players get a huge match and then the rest getting like decent-ish scores. They're all scoring a lot.
Yeah, and we did see it was another -20 against Benelux on Gold Mine. So the fact that they're losing by this much, this point differential might end up being the kiss of death for their chances to advance beyond the group stage because like we said, like if we have, 3 teams tied at 2 and 3 or something and it comes down to point differential, like losing to US North by 200 or whatever could end up putting you on the outside looking in.
Yeah, very much so. TK Mountain is going to be picked. Yet another very strong running pick on the side of US North there, and Revan already getting some hits out. Ruben, the only one up there in 4th place already. Actually, sure, shooting up as I say that. Back bomb onto Benelux bottom 2. Going to do a little bit of damage there, not too much. But yeah, USA still in very strong positions early there. Frozen, Fresh, and Revan in that order in that top 3 on the cut. Doing the cut extremely quick as expected of Division 1 players there. And Brody actually makes his way up into 4th place now. And that's a
Top
top
4.
4 for US North on DK Mountain at the end of lap 1. Very scary position to be in.
Yeah, and if they get shock and they can cannon dodge top 4, then I mean, it would it would just be GG.
Well, actually, Brody choosing to wait here, so you would expect them either not to be sure, or at the very least, you know that US North do not have shock yet. That's what
Yeah,
you're
I
certain
mean,
of.
with them being top 3 ahead of him, he can choose to play extra safe and just get in cannon with Benelux, even if nobody ends up having shock. And then pulling POW here is obviously just super broken for this track if he wants to just screw Indy over here.
Honestly, I think oh, I was about to say, I mean, that does work as well, but I do think, honestly, if you wanted to hold that, if you're Brody, just holding on to that to ensure that top 3 do not get teep out on lap 3 could also be just as strong, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, he ended up making really good work with it, getting Indy landing from the cut there, and he was just like into the fence. But yeah, holding it definitely would have worked as well. But obviously, these guys definitely know what they're doing.
Yeah, I assume at this point, you're thinking that top 3 is already so far broken that if you can get Indy into a rough position and join that top 3, you have enough of a lead that a late TPOW is not gonna matter too much, which I would agree is definitely very much still very much a possibility. If even if there is a POW called now, it's not going to do too much for the individual position, much less the ending of this match as a whole. There's the shock being called late shock by Benelux. As we see Thomas barreling up there into third place, but he is the only one, it seems. Actually, Ruben making his way up into fifth. So that is top 2, 4, 6 for US North. Tiny bit of a salvage for Benelux, but still, as per usual, an insanely strong race for US North.
Yeah, I think like the only thing that got them out of top four was I think a TC on a fresh. So it's just been a real struggle the entire match for Benelux if they get off to a bad start in a race to really be able to make anything happen. And one thing that we haven't really mentioned throughout the actual gameplay of the match, we did mention it beforehand, but obviously them not having Olafray, I don't necessarily think that it would make a 200-point difference in this match, but I think it would have given them maybe a bit more competitiveness in this match.
Yeah, maybe so. But yeah, regardless, for those that are curious about Benelux's chances to make the playoffs at this point, you would need Ireland to. Oh, actually, I was about to say no. That's really awkward. Even regardless, I was about to say you need to obviously win both of your matches against both Australia and um, US South. But you also need whatever team is in third to beat both of the other teams that you're competing in fourth place for to win in that head-to-head. So yeah, your chances are looking really low if you're Benelux at this point. It's still technically possible, but it's with very high quotation marks.
Yeah, and even though Australia, I think, only got their first win this morning against Ireland, so they're only 1-2. They are quite strong for that record, so I think that it will be a difficult challenge for Benelux to tussle with them as well.
Yeah, very much so at this point, especially considering that we're approaching the 200-point difference in this war with just one more winning race. Diaz Desert Hills going to be a bit more chaotic, hopefully allowing Benelux to get another, at the very least, another winning race on their record, just for the sake of their pride. Indy trying to make his way up there in front of Brody there, and very nice avoidance on that fib. Once again, just hearing that fib and managing to avoid it with the air movement, just very nicely played by Brody. Golden is going to be used by Revan, just getting up their top 3 for US North at this point, as Joris is in 10th, I believe. Might be wrong. Both baggers
Yeah,
still set. Both baggers
I
co
don't
still
know where
set.
Snoopy is. Yeah,
Well,
Drop Pow
actually,
in
I,
8th,
I
just
believe
gonna get
actually,
items out of everyone, and we see a shot come in.
yeah, double
I
star by
mean,
Benelux. You're forced to use that. You need to try and get up there as much as possible, even if one of your teammates gets hit by a very unfortunate TC. Revan, not getting any shrooms out of that. Brody bumping Indy out as well, just getting back up there. Very nice hits overall on the side of US North. Single shroom on the side of Revan should allow him to simply take the cut at the end. Good chain as well.
yeah, Brody holding blue as well, so they can just hold on to first for now with a small break.
Yeah.
Oh, but gonna lose blue and get past the TC, so we'll see if
Does he
he's
pass
able
it
to
to?
pass this off again.
Does he pass it to Indy? He passes it to
Oh, and
Ruben
Ruben takes it.
and does not have a dodge. Very unfortunate on the side of uh very unfortunate on the side of Benelux here. But yeah, one of the baggers was
Assuming
definitely running.
Snoopy was
Uh
running, I think, yeah.
oh, and another and
And
shot
another
comes
shot
out.
from Joris.
Unfortunately, our POVs are in bottom 2, so not exactly sure what ended up being the result, but I do believe that was bottom 3 actually on the side of US North. Never mind, we did see a Benelux player in Thomas getting eighth in the end, but still not a very good race for US. Never mind. Did not see
Yeah, we
Stupid
couldn't see
Kid.
that top two.
Yeah, did not see that Fresh and Frozen ended up in those top two spots. So never mind. Still a winning race on the side of US North, regardless, as we
Yeah,
go
so
into the last
Desert
race.
Hills, Desert Hills, two shocks for Benelux, and they still get top 2'd by US North. It's obviously just what they've been up against all day.
Yeah. Will we see at least one winning race on the side of Benelux? With that pen on the one winning race that they could have had, they have yet to get a single winning race so far. And yeah, even with a US North all run, with US North getting top 2, 6, 7, 9, it is still a win for them, even with those double shocks, just showing how strong their running has been. Even on a map like Desert Hills that you would expect to just have spots completely jambled, but they just have been in control for so long at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, this last race, as with basically the second half of this war, will be mostly a formality. Obviously, we've mentioned point differential, and if we have three teams at 2 and 3, it might just be like who was able to hang with US North the best. But being down 210, that's just
Yeah, you
that's
might be
gonna
out of
really hurt
contention.
them.
You might
Yeah.
be out of contention for that already. But yeah, US North just completely dominant throughout this entire war. And on the map like RBC, you're definitely expecting that to be the case still. A good break actually, not getting hit out by that by those triple reds. Oh, the back bomb onto Thomas. Indy does manage to get to pass that bomb. Unfortunately, Thomas is pretty much just gone in eighth for now. Unfortunately, blue purple definitely not what you want to try and get back on there. Indy getting mega by Frozen, and actually Mega's Ruben as well. Just Frozen getting a good amount of sliding done in the mid pack. That's what he's most. Well, that's what he was most renowned for on JX, was simply just his item play and being able to get some very strong impact in that midfield. Not as prominent on a match like this where US North are just consistently in the lead, but very much showing in these sorts of situations regardless. Frozen trying to hit out Shura, and there's the blue. Even with Benelux being first, it doesn't last for very long. That blue is immediately thrown at Shura, and US North are back in that top two position.
And another blue coming
It's
out
another blue
immediately.
immediately.
Yeah.
At the very least, it's.
And
I
looks like
was about
he's
to say at the very
dodging
least
it.
it's even, but no. Frozen actually got a shroom in second before Shura got blued and does manage to dodge it. So even with US North getting blued, that's still not enough, simply because of that shroom pull, as the top two is pretty much breaking away. Uh, I do think I saw
It's
Thomas
top
in
two, bottom
third.
two. Top two, bottom two for US North right now.
Could be the case. I do believe that it's relatively close in the back. If you want to quickly switch POVs to see in the back, actually, right, yeah, Ruben getting squished right as we talk about it, and getting to TC in seventh. My goodness, at this point, it's just beating up. At this point, it's just like beating a
Insult
dead
to
horse.
injury.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, Ruben getting a TC without much to do about it. Don't know if Joris maybe has the shock, considering how he's been running. Shura got hit out as well, and Brody will pass him fairly easily there. Top 2, 4, 6 on the side of US North with Brody, holding that star in 6. Possibly just going to take in the cut and call late. Maybe calling it just a little bit earlier to try and avoid any dodges potentially from Benelux. We're going to have to see. Unless Joris does have it already. That star is going to be used, is going to be chained into triple shrooms and get up there. Not going to connect onto Indy, but still very much a top 2, 4, 5 for US North so far, with Thomas being the only member in those top spots. And Shock is called and does TS Brody in the end. But that is going to be a top 2, 4 on the side of US North. Thomas getting blued on the line. I pray that this. No, I do not believe that he is connected before the line. But top 2, 4, 8 on the side of US North. One last winning race to complete a golden war. 12 out of 12 races won. And just a complete show of dominance from not our first seed of the entire tournament, as England is still the reigning champions, but still very much the team to beat as we go across the halfway point of this group stage.
Yeah, I'm not a World Cup historian. Obviously, I've really only been in the community since around the a little bit before the 2023 World Cup, but I'd have to imagine this is one of the most dominant showings that we've probably ever seen in a World Cup match. I mean, you really just don't see this all the time. These, teams play at such a high level in World Cup, and obviously we know how stacked US North's roster is, but um, you still rarely see a war where one team doesn't win like a single race.
Yeah, that's very much a strong showing. I actually have casted during World Cup previously. During last year's World Cup, actually, I did cast a match that was similar in terms of raw dominance. But in that case, it was just as much of the winning team being dominant as it was the losing team just making a lot of mistakes. And here, I just think it's US North being so dominant that Benelux just hasn't been able to find an answer the entire war. I don't think Benelux necessarily played bad, so to speak. It's more so that US North just have been completely dominant the entire time, and Frozen actually scoring 144 this for. My goodness.
Yeah, that's a top four in divs for US with three of their players, Frozen, Fresh, and Revan. It looks like going over 100. So really, really impressive showing. They're gonna obviously look to carry this type of momentum into their playoff stage matches.
Yeah, this Daisy Circuit race, for those that are curious, does not count. The match has been played. It's simply because they just want to run a couple more races for the hell of it. But match is done with US North very dominant win on their end, and yeah, overall expected. I wanted expected ending result in a US North win, but definitely very much a more dominant one than even we could have predicted going into this match overall.
Yeah, I mean it was right from the jump. They got a couple like plus 20 races to start it off, and it was basically off to the races from there. So I feel like not much more to be said that we haven't already said because, this match has been kind of decided for so long at this point. But I don't know if there's anything else to close it out here.
Well, I will say there's one thing to close it out in the sense that we have some later matches coming on today. If you're interested in seeing more Mario Kart Wii World Cup and potentially closer matches than this one has been, I do actually cast the next one in Ireland versus Asia. A very important match for Ireland to possibly make it into a playoffs run, and Asia just trying to secure that second seed behind US North. Later in the day, we will have US South versus Asia. Once again, an extremely important match for Group B standings overall. And we will finish the day at 10 p.m., all of those in Eastern times, with Australia versus US South. And this one is possibly the most important of all, as both these teams in Group 2 are very much in a position where the result of that match could decide a playoff run potentially. So all three of those matches are going to be very important, possibly, well, most likely a lot closer than this one has been. So, very much would recommend to keep those in mind and to stay tuned as we go for more World Cup goodness. And yeah, last thing to mention as well. Thank you, Masako, for hosting this match once again, and thank you, Dbergy, for casting this alongside me. It has been a pleasure, big guy.
Yeah, I had a great time doing this despite the result that we saw, and definitely look forward to seeing more of these matches in the future here.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned and see you in around an hour and a half, where I will be once again casting